Checking the connection live. Oh, look at that. Up close. This microphone is very loud. Let's turn that down. And hello, everybody. Hello, Teresa in Chicago. Hello, Jen. Hello, Karen. Sorry, my Instagram was not allowing me to go live. So that's why I'm a little late. And we are back to our time change. So for those of you in the UK who are enjoying a little bit earlier, I apologize. Today I will be talking about many different subjects. Hello, Lakeland, Florida. Hello, Judy in California. Hello, Nathan. Hello, UK. Hello, everybody. Everybody loves Raymond 360 on a Sunday. Hello, Barbara. Barbara, where are you in Long Island, Barbara? Because all right, hold on. Let me just see this because I want to talk about the photos, and let me see if my friend can retext that because my phone was off. So, here we go. This is Somebody Feed Phil's book, Phil Rosenthal's book. Phil, who you've seen if you've watched this a million times, who created Everybody Loves Raymond, and you've seen a million. Hello, Jenny. Hello, Barbara. Yes, you're in Massapequa. Okay, so here is, you may or may not know. So for those that don't watch, Somebody Feed Phil is on Netflix. They're in season 6. Phil just came out with a brand new book. This is the book. And if you get the book, which is filled with recipes, the best recipes from the places he has visited, which it's a phenomenal book. I will show you a recipe that I made. There is a picture of me and my friend Key, who is Korean American. He's a Phillies fan, unfortunately, for him. And that is us in Seoul, Korea. And then let me see the recipe that I made. I made a brajol. But it's interesting because it's not a brajol that you saw on Raymond. At least it doesn't come out. Okay, so there you go. And I know it's backwards, everybody, so I'll post a picture of this. A little bit of a glare. So this brajol was phenomenal, but it's not the classic rolled piece of pork or beef that you may know as brajol. However, it is one of the best pieces of pork that I've ever eaten. So this book, with Raymond wrote on the back of it, and of course some of the inspiration for Phil traveling was Raymond, who was going on a vacation to the Jersey Shore, and Phil said, "What about Italy?" And Raymond politely declined. But then Phil got him to Italy because he had to get a pay check for doing the show Everyone's Raymond, and so Phil cleverly got him to go to Italy and do that. Would be hard to get in Australia. Lee, what would be hard to get in Australia? The book? Can we get the book in Australia? Yes, I'm sure that it is possible to get it in Australia, I would imagine. It is already a New York Times bestseller. But I bring it up because I think possibly I will be, if you want to meet me live or at least see Phil. Yes, the book. Yes, should be available in Australia. And I don't remember. Did Phil do an Australian episode? I don't remember. But Phil will be at the Paramount Theater in Huntington, Long Island, on November 13th. And I will be hosting, asking Phil questions on stage there. Phil does a live show, and it's selling out all over the country. I will show you, again, everything I show you is backwards, so it's a little bit frustrating for those of you that are watching. But I will post everything and so it won't be backwards. But there is Phil's book tour. And you see, sold out. So he is coming to Long Island then, I can't even read it because it's backwards. Is it San Francisco, Boston? It looks like maybe Atlanta. Wow, that's tough to read stuff backwards, or I'll post it. So there you go. So I will be there with Phil in Huntington, Long Island. And for those of you that are not familiar with New York or Long Island, Ray and the Barones lived in Lynbrook in the TV series, which is out there, and the real houses that I posted not too long ago are in Merrick, which is southern Long Island. All right, let's talk questions, etc. So I posted a photo, which a lot of people had comments about. It's a great photo. It's the early photo, one of the earlier ones I've taken of the cast. Again, backwards. There's Patricia Heaton sitting on Ray's lap, and Robert Culp, Peter Boyle, Doris Roberts, Brad Garrett, Catherine Hellmond. And so I said somebody in this photo has only been in 8 episodes of television, and that was our friend Ray Romano, because Ray prior had been cast as the electrician part in News Radio, and he was asked to not come back to that show after the table read, as they said to Ray's manager, we're going to go a different way. That role was taken by Joe Rogan, and Ray was kicked into obscurity until he ended up starring in Everose Raymond. I believe it was 2 years later. Hello, Paula. Yes, hi from Sydney. Hello in Sydney, Australia. Yes, big an English expat living there. Yes. So Ray had only acted in 8 episodes of Everose Raymond. Now, he had done The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, which was a big deal. I think that was, you guys can check me, but it was, I want to say November of 1992 or 91, somewhere in there. It was about 6 months before Johnny Carson retired. And then, of course, he did a lot of small stand-up comedy shows on TV. And then he did Letterman, which gave him a development deal and led directly to Everybody Loves Raymond. So at that point, Ray had very little TV experience. Brad Garrett actually had done a lot of TV, Patricia Heaton a lot of TV, and of course Robert Culp had been in his own series with Bill Cosby in the 60s. Catherine Hellman was on soap. Peter Boyle had done a lot of TV. You wouldn't think so because Peter's a big fancy movie star, but there were a couple series that Peter was in. And Patricia Heaton, was it, I can't remember the show, 30-something, I think she was in, and a bunch of other stuff. So everybody had a ton of experience compared to the amount of experience that Ray had. And somebody nicely pointed out in the comments, and I read every single comment, and someone pointed out how Ray's acting improved every year, which I would agree. And, of course, he won an Emmy for Best Acting on a sitcom, which is kind of proof. And then, of course, he was in a Martin Scorsese film, The Irishman, with I forget the other actor's name, De Niro and Pacino, something like that. Not that important. Have I met Catherine Hellmond? Yes. So when you work on a show, when you write on a show, you are on the show and you are on stage. So every time Catherine was there, I would see her. She would go to also Doris's Christmas party, which I'll post more pictures of those. For those of you that have not heard about it, Doris had something which she called a greed party, which people have, where you exchange gifts at her house on Quebec Drive in Los Angeles. And those were phenomenally fun parties because the show had a little hiatus, so the pressure was off and the drinking was on. A lot of Ray's, I'm reading, yes, Karen, his experience was obvious first, but it continued to get better and better as the show went on. Yes, and just in writing-wise, they were trying to very much put a lot of Ray's act into the show early on. And then I think as the show took on its own life 100%, the writing became, Ray's parts also became much more organic. And the thing about Ray is he very, very much cannot do a dishonest thing in his private life or on stage. So that comes across, his sincerity and his honesty. And then you had Phil, who had a theater background, who was great at getting an actor to perform the material in the best way, which is, I believe they call that directing. but it was a perfect combination of Ray being very honest and sincere. And at first, this is not a secret, but Ray had a lot of trouble saying lines that weren't written by him because everything he does in his stand-up world is very much his. And so all of a sudden he has to trust that other people are writing, and he almost felt like he was cheating somehow because other people were writing funny stuff. But that eventually he was happy to have that. Yes, Patricia Heaton played the doctor on 30-something. Yes, experienced, very experienced. Why, Paul? Why do comedians always make good actors? There are some that don't act so well, but yes, I would agree with that because the comedic timing, at least, when you see a comedian, they're delivering the same lines. And one time I was talking to somebody who saw Jay Leno at a local club here, the Hermosa Beach Comedy Magic Club, which is a great club if you ever get a chance to go. And the woman said, "Oh, I saw Jay Leno twice in a row, and he had a lot of the same jokes." Well, the Beatles didn't perform two completely different sets, one after another, even though they could have. So the point is, a comedian, when he's up there telling his jokes and it seems so natural, is acting. You're buying that they're thinking of it in that moment and they're trying to convey that to you. And so I think the comedic timing is very, very important for an actor. So there are some comedians that don't do well acting because it's not everything is transferable, but I would say overall, yeah. And the thing about sitcoms too, you had Roseanne, Brett Butler, Seinfeld, Ray, all of these shows that were giant hits. Brett Butler's kind of burned out early, but that was Grace Under Fire. But you can't teach comedic timing. You can certainly teach acting to some degree as well. If you ever want to go to an acting class, you will see very bad actors because everybody goes in and not everybody is a good actor. So having taken many acting classes, and I recommend that to anybody who's interested in writing or directing or anything else. Thank you, Bobby. Ray appeared on The Tonight Show November 15th, 1991. Yes, and I was in the audience. I will talk about that another time. So, Ray, more Raymond news, Celebrity Jeopardy. Celebrity Jeopardy. Ray will be on, I don't know internationally, but Ray will be on in the U.S. Give me some thumbs up if Jeopardy is popular in the U.K. or Australia or India, because I do not know. But Ray is there, and Ray very much makes fun of his lack of intellect, but Ray is indeed very smart. And if you do run into him, ask him to name the capital of any country in the world. And so you will be impressed because Ray can name any capital in the world. And when he goes on at the Comedy Cellar or any other comedy club, he'll tell people, go ahead, yell out. And he has never been stumped. Karen in the UK, you don't get it. And Lee in Australia, you don't get it. Oh, very interesting. So you can just ignore what I just said. Paula. Great question, Paula. Does Ray really mispronounce words like he did in that one episode, like ask and cinnamon? That, Paula, is a great question. I'm surprised we haven't talked about it in the past. So, remind me, I will post a board in the writer's room that we had. So when you went into the Everett Raymond writer's room, it was completely lined with dry erase boards. And on one board, which I think I've posted this, we had photos of every episode, so we could keep track. So every season we would write the episode, and of course, season one there was only one board, and then eventually they started filling up, and that helped us internally to be like, okay, what was that episode? And it got confusing because sometimes we had thanks the episode, thank you notes, no thanks, other ones where you look at it and go, it's not obvious what that is. And then we would call it by the nickname, like the tofu turkey episode, which I know fans do as well. But another board in the writer's room had Ray's surprise vocabulary, and another board had Ray's words that he mispronounces. So Ray would mispronounce axe. He would say axe instead of ask. Cinnamon, he had problems with. For a musical ensemble, he would say ensemble. And so very funny words that we try to incorporate in the series. And on the other board, we had Ray's surprise vocabulary, where Ray all of a sudden would come out with a word that we're like, oh, very impressive, Raymond. Of course, in the writer's room, we would make fun, and there were a couple of people, who went to Yale and University of Pennsylvania, Ivy League schools, and then Ray would always point out in a nice way, and you're all working for me, because Ray went to, I don't know how many, it took him like 7 years to get out of Queens College and a bunch of other stuff with a accounting degree. Stomach, yes, the stomach is a nice pronunciation. By the way, our quote mug is almost done. Well, I'll post it up one more final thing, but I think we're going to have to do multiple quote mugs because there's too many good quotes. So I'll post that, and we will get more comments from you guys on what you want on the mugs, and they will definitely be available for Christmas. And we have another surprise for you guys, a really unique gift that we think will be available for Christmas, and I know I want one. How did David Hunt? Hello. It's hard to pronounce. How am I'm going to embarrass myself. Sweb 40 opt online. How did David Hunt, who was Patricia's husband in real life, end up playing Bill Parker? I really don't know. I know we needed Ray to have a nemesis, and David Hunt is an actor, and so I think that's how he met Patty initially, Patricia Heaton. And so he seemed like the perfect foil for Ray because he's British, so I hate to tell you, you come across more intelligent when you have a British accent, and Ray has this New York accent, and the woman that plays Carrie was Elizabeth Herring, who was went to Hofstra, which is on Long Island, along with Phil. And so I don't remember the exact mechanics if Phil said, oh, I know, let's get David Hunt in there. I know it wasn't Patricia Heaton coming in and pounding her fist and saying, if you don't cast my husband, I will leave. I don't think it was anything like that because it was such a friendly environment. But having said that, people are shocked when they find out that it's Patty's husband because David Hunt was the perfect person to play Parker, the dreaded Parker. All right, let's scroll. Let me scroll. Oh, yes. So this is Tom Calabano. For those of you joining, I was a writer on Everyone's Raymond for all 9 years. And I mentioned at the beginning that Phil Rosenthal, his book has just been released. If you are into cooking or travel, he's doing a book tour around the country. And I will be in Huntington, Long Island, on stage with Phil. He shows an episode of the show. I think it's a tribute to his parents. And then a lot of questions about food and the best places to eat around the world. And hopefully we'll have something good to eat in Long Island. Your husband also went to Hofstra. He should have been in the cast. He could have been Karen. Was he an acting major? So Jenny, I saw the episode today. What actually is Hacky-Do? So Hacky-Do was a play on Pokemon cards. That was the initial craze, not the Pokemon Go of recent years. And so I forget who you guys would know who wrote that episode. My guess is maybe Scro and Lou or just Scro, because it was if you were a parent then. It was really annoying, so we couldn't get the rights to Pokemon, so they made up Hacky-Do, and that was, I think was it Ho-Hocus? I can't remember where he went. It was someplace funny in New Jersey. New Jersey has a couple of very funny towns. Will the Huntington show be filmed? You would love to see it in the UK. Oh, Karen, in Plymouth. Yeah. If it's being filmed, I wouldn't know about it. I'll see if I can take some photos and share it. And I recommend, again, if you haven't seen his show on Netflix, Somebody Feed Phil, and he does a tribute to his parents who are no longer with us, but they were a highlight of his show. And I will tell you that of course, the Fruit of the Month Club and many of the stories, the Toaster episode, they all came from Phil's parents directly, like dialogue lifted verbatim. Well, let's see. Sorry, going back. Oh, yes. They're doing, is it on already? Let me see. Sorry, I'm saying. It was Ho Hocus. You're in Ramsey, about 10 minutes from there. Hello, Miller Light, too. Yes. You are the Lisa Miller who's not the casting director of Raymond. Yes, Ho Hocus, Ramsey up north. You're up by Route 17. I know it well. Did Phil engrave a toaster for his parents? Yes. So the toaster story, which I think I had. Hello, Canada. Is there a possibility of another special of the cast? Another special of the cast, meaning you're saying the table read with the cast, which went really well. Let me see. What is this episode? Let me page through. So in real life, Phil gave a toaster that said "Everybody loves Raymond" to everybody in the cast, including his parents. And so in real life, he called his parents after he gave it because he didn't hear anything about the toaster, and he said, "Hey, what did you think of the gift?" And they said, and we'll go over this in person. He said, well, we didn't open it right now. We didn't open it yet. And he said, "Well, go ahead and open it." And he said, his father said, "Well, it's not here. It's not here right now." So here we go. Here is the toaster. Just happen to have it. Yes. There we go. There's the salesman. This is the wardrobe person. Yes, Hacky Do was written by Scrovan and Lou. I remembered that pretty well. This, by the way, a little trivia, in the Toaster episode, Ray's real brother, Richard, the policeman in real life, his name is Richard. It gets very confusing. I'm going to post some pictures to clean up all of the potential confusion. So in real life, they said, "We don't have it here right now." And it turned out that they, in fact, brought the toaster and brought it back to, I think it was Macy's, and basically returned it and then had to try and get it back. And so his father in real life was on the phone and said, "Your mother wanted a coffee maker, we traded it in." And so we heard Phil screaming because he was mad at his parents for not even opening his gift. And so Phil was very angry at first, and then I think it was Steve Scrovan who said, "You got to do this episode." And at that point, Phil was too filled with an angry rage to see it. But then, of course, it became one of our favorite Christmas episodes. Did the episode where Frank and Marie drove the car into Ray's house based on a real-life story by a writer? Hello, Deb Gesvine. Am I saying that? Or Gesvine? So that, the episode through the house called Wallpapers, it was the 100th episode of Ever's Raymond. We had a celebration, and it was written by Lou Schneider. So I don't remember if we spoke with Lou, who finally got on Instagram and has joined us, who wrote many, many of your favorite Raymond episodes. I think it was a dual thing of somebody doing that in his old neighborhood, and then I think somebody where he lived kept backing into his car. And I think the guy would just write Lou a check, something like that. So yeah, it was loosely based on that, and he will when the next time he's talking, the next time he visits us, we will ask him about the wallpaper episode number 100. You're a trophy wife. What contest in hell did I win? Yes. So for the mug, we don't know whether to just put. We probably will put that quote, that exact quote, without including Marie's at the beginning. The ELR table read is still on YouTube. It's hilarious. Yes. For those of you that don't know, thank you, Paula. For those of you who don't know, there's a benefit every year that Lorraine Boyle puts on for her husband. And during COVID, she arranged to have a table read with cast members, including Stefania. And it was magic to watch everybody just falling right back into character and just hysterical. And it was really good to see Ray laughing and Phil laughing and everybody laughing and enjoying it, because when you saw the table read the first time, you were sitting there, yes, you were laughing, but you also had to watch it for notes, etc. So this, you're able to just lean back and enjoy it. So for those of you, the multiple myeloma, International Multiple Myeloma Foundation, I think it's called. I'll post it again. Hello, Kimmy Poo. Kim, I just found a good picture of you somewhere. I think outside for the proposal episode on the New York City street. So for those of you, I wanted to cover that a little bit. The proposal took place outside where the police cars pull up. I'll post a picture of the New York City street at the Warner Brothers lot, and there was snow. And so in the photos, what's bizarre to see is the cast, or the crew at least, were wearing N95 masks. And this is probably year 2000, 2001. So now it just looks like a normal photo. But then it was so unusual to see everybody wearing masks. But they were wearing masks because the snow, the fake snow, you're just not supposed to breathe that in. So I will post, I mentioned Warner Brothers tour. If you ever get a chance, and I'll clear this up a little bit, I'll post something about this. If you ever get a chance to go to Warner Brothers, take their VIP tour. You see wardrobe. We've mentioned it before. You see, they have a whole bunch of stuff for friends. The reason you won't find any Everybody Loves Raymond mugs or T-shirts or anything like that, which hopefully we'll be coming up with our quote T-shirts and throws and mugs and all of the stuff that you guys have been asking for the past few years. The show, Everyone's Raymond, was not owned by Warner Brothers. It was a CBS show that was owned a little bit by CBS, a little bit by Letterman's people, etc. And so what happened is Everyone's Raymond kind of fell through the cracks of merchandising. And so Friends, they got behind. Like Friends, you can now buy Friends coffee, Central Perk coffee. It's a marketing machine, Friends is. And Everyone's Raymond, because it's not owned by Warner Brothers, that's why you don't see any mugs. And that's why they don't even, and I think I've mentioned this, it's very funny, and I'll try and find a couple of pictures of it. And Ray and I would be driving in his car on the Warner Brothers lot. This is 5 years ago, 10, it happens every once in a while. And he would pull up to the cart. So it's a trolley that holds maybe 10 people, 15 people or something like that. And there's a tour guide in a blue shirt, and they're driving, and Ray would pull up and he'd put down his window and he'd go, excuse me, but do you know where the Everybody Loves Raymond stage is? And usually the tour guide is like, oh my gosh, it's Ray Romano. Yes, Ray, it's stage 5. And then sometimes, I think this happened twice, and it has to be the perfect time of we're driving together, there's a cart, and Ray can pull up next to it. A couple times the people just stared at him like, hey, listen, I don't know. I don't know where it is, and why are you bothering us? We're trying to give a tour here. They don't recognize Ray at all, and he'll keep saying it to see. And then every once in a while, someone on the trolley would be like, hey, that's Ray. That's Raymond there. So anyway, don't be disappointed if you go on the Warner Brothers tour and there's not a lot of talk about Everybody Loves Raymond, but from all of my photos that stage 5 is where we filmed. And I think when we had Adam Chase on here, I put on a map, and the Friends stage is really about maybe 200 meters from the Everyone's Raymond stage. So if you're pointed out by the Friends stage, know that you were close to that. Also, Mom was there as well. Okay, let's see. Let's scroll back. These are such great questions. I'm going to show. I know I just showed a little bit of the toaster, but I think I'm going to show something from season 1. I know when I post finale pictures, hello Oklahoma. When I post finale pictures, people get sad because they don't want the show to end, and I get it. I'm right there with you. All right. Hello in Green Bay. I've been to Green Bay. I went to, of course, Lambeau Field to see the Green Bay Packers play. A little bit of Wisconsin. For those of you that don't know American football, don't live in the country, Green Bay is a reputation as being somewhat chilly, and they have an iconic football stadium there. Which actor in ELR acts most like their character in it, I'm going to say. I would say Ray is the most like Ray. I would say yes. I would say the least like their character would be Peter Boyle, who was a very thoughtful, soft-spoken gentleman. And so Ray pretty much is obsessed with golf, loves his wife, has kids, is a really good father, even though, and you have to remember, I see some complaints about Ray that they would leave Ray or whatever. There we go. Ray does try and, get out of things and play golf, so not a terrible sin. But I would say, yeah, Ray, if you met Ray, he's very nice. I always loved when Gianni and Doug would impersonate Ray's whiny voice. Yeah, Karen, Kevin James, who I just found a picture. Let me know if you want to see it. A picture of me and Ray and Kevin James. I don't know what we're doing. We're like goofing around. Kevin would always do an impression of Ray, and we thought, oh, let's use that. Let's try and get that into the show. And so in those early episodes, I think I can't remember which episode. Those of you guys watching, you would know which episode in season 1 Kevin was in. I know he was in Nemo's, but I thought he was doing an impression of Ray who was in the shower or something. That's coming into my head. But yeah, they're great, and Ray is one of the easier people to impersonate. So, hello, Sicilian 7. Kevin James is always at the Paramount. Yes, Kevin James is from Long Island. That's kind of his home turf, and he is very popular. So I don't know what venues are big enough to do it. No, Sicilian 7, not when he delivered the curtains. I think it was season 1. I thought he went into the bath for some reason. That's a great. So the Lone Barone is when he delivered the curtains. That's an episode that I wrote with Jeremy Stevens. Fred Stoller as Gerard. Yeah. So Annabelle, great question. Annabelle, who's a fan, who had been to many episodes, and I have a picture of Annabelle holding the canister, which is a rare thing. You may be the only fan who's ever held the canister. Fred Stoller plays cousin Gerard. Fred Stoller did stand-up comedy in New York with Ray, and Ray said a couple times people would come up to him and go, Ray, they would just say, hey, we saw you. You were great. You were so funny. And Ray hadn't been on stage yet. It was Fred Stoller, and they thought it was Ray. So that, I want to say, maybe that was Steve Scrovan's idea, because Steve Scrovan did stand up and Lou did stand up. So that might have been the idea. That's might have been where the idea came from. But Fred Stoller is very, very funny stand up, and it was perfect that he looked like Ray and was great, and he's such a sad sack looking character on it. Does Gerard's voice sound like that? Yeah, he sounds exactly like Ray. Captain Nemo was the shower scene. Okay, great. Good to know. Thank you. I've noticed that the canister invisible on the shelf in Ray and Deborah's kitchen in several episodes. Yeah, Karen, I think, did Marie not give it back to Deborah after all of that to keep? Well, you know what? We will have to track that down. Episodes where the canister is visible. I'm being very serious, because we've started a spreadsheet with every fact that you can possibly know about the show, behind the scenes stuff. Like Bob Saget visited the show, and I know I have pictures of him, and I cannot find it. So when was the canister visible? This is a very good point, because I think that is a story point that happened, if I am not mistaken. Fred did a few nannies with the same. Yeah, I mean that's how Fred sounds. He just sounds that way. Yes, Karen, on the lower shelf of the sink. So again, for those of you just joining, I will be. Oh, the canister is visible before the canister episode. Ew, interesting. Which would make sense if she borrowed it, right? We're looking for continuity stuff too. For those of you just joined, this is Tom Caltabiano, is a writer on Everest Raymond. And for those of you in Long Island or New York, I will be with Phil Rosenthal November 13th in Huntington at the Paramount Theater, where Phil talks about his show, Somebody Feed Phil, on Netflix. But I'm not here to promote Phil. We're here to talk about Eros Raymond. But hold on one second. Let me just take a sip of my coffee. Ah, yes. There we go. All right, here. Let's show the inside of... So I did post these, by the way. These photos from last week. These are the wardrobe photos, and I just thought that was... Oh, there we go. Every once in a while I get a message that it's paused for a bad connection, but I don't. Nobody's complaining, so that's a good sign. Let's see this. The canister visible. Yes. Okay. Here, The Car, written by Lou Schneider. So here we go for those of you newly joining me. This is a wardrobe copy of the script. I have them for every episode. For all 9 seasons, and inside every wardrobe episode is a little chart which has who was in the episode and what they have to wear. There you go. Their wardrobe changes because on show night you have to move quickly, so they have to keep all of the wardrobe changes. So here we go. I don't think, have I shown the car before? I don't think so. There is Ray. I can't tell what he's holding. There's Madeline Sweeten. Look at that behind him. That's funny to see. Yes, not your phone, everybody. My internet is every once in a while wonky. There is Raymond. There is Patty behind him. Okay, there's a picture of how the clothes were hung up on the wall. So let's see. And again, I know these are backwards. So let's see. There's Raymond in his classic Raymond. There you go. Here we go. Yes. Ah, yes. Here we go. That, I believe, if I haven't shown it, if I have shown it already, it's good seeing it again. Ray in full flashback mode. That is how we imagine with Lisa. I think was that her name in the show? Lisa Constantine? Yeah. There is Ray wearing his clothes. Let me see if there's a close-up of his. Yes. Here we go. Yes, I thought that was a golf club as well. There we go. There's Raymond with his hair looking very I don't know. What would that be? 1971 or something? 72? Peter and Doris looking very young and very bright. And again, we have talked about Doris's makeup. When you have a flash hitting it, feels very kabuki-like, and it doesn't read that much on camera, but you do see it. There we go. Peter Boyle again. These are wardrobe photos, so the wardrobe department is trying to grab these photos and get out, and so they're not necessarily, the actors aren't necessarily looking at the camera. Here we go. There we go. Peter, is he holding ginger ale? Yes. A lot of questions about ginger ale, a favorite drink of Ray's, and he did not drink coffee in real life. Yes, the Valiant. The Valiant. Okay, here we go. Brad, Garrett, and Doris standing there. Great to see them. And for those of you that, if you notice, Brad lost a lot of weight in season 2. So there's Brad. That is old Brad with his giant head of hair. Here we go. Never before seen wardrobe photos other than the night they were taken back in 1996. There you go. And I think, is somebody wearing a Eros Raymond jacket there? That would be a good spot if they were. Hello, everybody. For those of you just joining, I'm showing photos from the car episode. There is Brad, and I think that might be Rhonda, our head of props, Rhonda Robinson, right there. That is my guess, because I don't think that is the girl. Here we go. Great to see the twins, yes. So that's the Eros Raymond jacket. it looks like, with one of the twins, and Madeline, if you look closely, is behind, sitting down. There's another twin, looking exceptionally young. Patricia Heaton is pregnant at this point. Opening titles, that says. I know it's backwards. There she is with a basket of laundry, I'm guessing to hide her pregnancy. December 16th we shot it, so yeah, that's my guess. There we go. Patty with some groceries. You remember that scene there? Yes. Also, probably pictures of her earrings, which I will post. It's funny because some of the outfits you are so memorable. You've seen them hundreds of times on the episode, so it's really cool to see them in these Polaroids. And for those of you that caught Mary Ellen Boucher from Wardrobe, you know, they don't take Polaroids anymore. Everything is on an iPhone. There we go. Patty getting a little bit a hit of the fire extinguisher. For those of you that haven't seen the car episode, I won't spoil the surprise. But this is so great for me to see. Doris, opening titles. There we go. Doris, that's quite a clash of colors there. The polka dot. Yes, for those of you into earrings, there we go. And again, we talked about Doris's makeup looks very white under the flash. Wow, a lot of wardrobe changes for Doris. There we go. Again with that's a different top, okay, with the thing. And don't worry, everybody, I will post these photos. I'm going quickly, and they are backwards, but I will post all of these photos, and you will be able to see them. There we go. Again, Mary Ellen said almost all of Doris's things were tailored or custom made. Okay, there's earrings. Okay, this is Lisa. Yes, a cornucopia of color. Absolutely. There is the character Lisa. There we go with our friend Raymond. Is she holding gum there? Perhaps. All right, and then the twins again. There we go. Madeline with one of the twins. And then Madeline. Oh, yes. The last photo. Yeah, and the car was I think it was a 70 Valiant, which was actually my idea because I owned one of those when I was in high school, a Plymouth Valiant. All right, final questions. But wow, look how much time has passed. Again, sorry, the inside of the car episode written by Mr. Lou Schneider. And I remember that was the first time Ray was able to kiss a girl who wasn't his wife because it was acting and he was getting paid for it. So that was a big thrill, except for Ray's wife, who didn't appreciate, I think, that at that time. But a season 1 flashback episode. All right. So did Robert gain? Oh, a great question. Zsa Zsa, number 3, times 3. Didn't Robert gain weight, Brad Garrett gain weight for the Honeymooners movie as Jackie Gleason? The movie Jackie Gleason, I think, came out much later. I'm trying to remember the year. Well, next time we talk to Brad, I'd love to talk about that Jackie Gleason experience. And so for those of you who don't know, Jackie Gleason, forgive me if I'm making an assumption that not everybody knows who Jackie Gleason is, but he was the star of the Honeymooners, and he was a corpulent actor. And so Brad, actually, if you get Brad's book, you'll see I took the cover photo for Brad's book. But he talks about stopping drinking. And so that's when he lost a tremendous amount of weight. So Brad Garrett came into the writer's room at the beginning of season 2. And we had moved to Warner Brothers from Hollywood Center Studios. And we were shocked because he had, I don't know how much he had dropped, 50 pounds. He looked thin and great. And unfortunately for comedy, thin and great is not the perfect thing that you want. And Brad, his big kind of lumbering presence, we were worried, is he going to be 12 to 40% less funny because he's that much less weight? But of course, the boatload of Emmys that he won for acting proved otherwise. Hello, Gil. Yes. So the Gleason episode came later than that. And he might have had to gain weight. I don't know. Sorry, a lot of pauses. I'm hoping not. Oh, wow. Okay. Hello, Tina. You're new to our live videos. Do you show a new episode every week? Is it? Oh, Tiana. Sorry. Tiana Tippett. I got glare here. Every week. This gives me a chance to explain. Every week, Everybody Loves Raymond, Our Family album. And I try and tell as much information about how we made the show as possible and have discussions every week. So I do show a wardrobe episode inside, a wardrobe script, and I show inside the Polaroids from that episode every other week. When I don't have a guest, I try and show those Polaroids, and then I post it. But we love all discussions. Everybody Loves Raymond. Jackie Gleason was the great one, and Brad played him in 2003 and was nominated for an Emmy. Great. Thank you, Teresa. Yes, so Brad, quite a few years later, and Brad was great, nominated for an Emmy. Great. Yeah, if you have a chance to watch it, it's really great. And if you know Jackie Gleason or who he was, which most of you do, it's even more interesting. So, best ever. So, my in-laws had plastic on the couch. Yes. The plastic on the couch, Ray, that was part of Ray's act, by the way. In his stand-up comedy act, he would talk about everything in the house is for a special occasion that hasn't happened yet. If the Pope visits, or Sinatra, or Chachi, is that his name? Yes, from Happy Days. Scott Baio. Yes, the couch episode. Did that actually happen? So, the couch episode, yeah, it was based on real life, but the way the couch episode started was it was a salesperson had sold somebody a expensive vacuum, and that person was friends with Lou Schneider, and Lou Schneider's wife, I think, was going to, I forget. Either way, Lou said, I'll take care of it, and then I think he ended up buying the rainbow vacuum, or something happened, yes, where he didn't do the job he was expecting. But then once it became a story, a Raymond story potential, it was the perfect thing for Marie to rub into Deborah's face, how dirty her house is. Why was Raymond the only Raymond cast member not to guest star in the middle? I don't know. Bunny Bear, great question. We will have to ask either Brad or Patty when she comes on. And I don't know. My guess would be scheduling, because he is, he and Patty are. And all right. I'm getting a lot of pausing messages, but hopefully not for you guys. All right, it is time to wrap it up. Any final questions? And again, November the 13th, part of Phil Rosenthal's book launch. I'll post some pictures about the schedule. He's going to be in Boston. I think he's in Philadelphia in the next few days. Then in Charlotte, Charlottesville, a whole bunch of places around the country. So I really highly recommend it. And I really recommend catching an episode of it. And the recipes in here are phenomenal, because they're the best recipes from his travels. So it is not like Phil sat down and said, what should we try and eat? You are a huge fan of ELR. I wish they would do a modern day spinoff. Yes. Reboot. Even some of the characters, not he was. Yeah, so you are not alone, and I think what you're hearing from everybody is the love of the show is so enormous that you just want to bring that feeling back and bring a series back again. It would be very tough, and Phil and Ray have both talked about it. It would be very, very tough without Frank and Marie especially. And so it was talked about, and it's just a really, really tough thing to do. And also you have schedules for everybody that, Ray directed his own movie, and that movie's coming out in the spring, and he's, I think, doing an upcoming movie with some big names, etc. And Patty, everybody, you have to pin everybody down, and the network has to want to do it. Were any of the cast angry that you finished after the end of season 9? Yes, I would say everybody was disappointed that the show ended. because it was sad. But Peter Boyle's health was not good, and indeed he passed within a year of the show, our shooting the last episode, less than a year. So it was unfortunate, but it had to end eventually. You've got the book, Zsa Zsa times 3. Yes, where are you in the country or in the world that you got Phil's book? Would love to catch Phil's show. Please post photos. Yes, thank you. Or join Phil when he goes, when he does a TikTok with Lily. Yeah, so Karen, I've been next to Lily and Phil when they're doing I'll post some of those photos. Yeah, I will try and avoid that. Maybe some of us fans who live near either should get together and recreate an episode. That's funny. Annabelle, it wouldn't be the same. Yes, it's very tough to. Yes. So next week, I don't know about next week. Oh, in Georgia, yeah. Phil is coming to Atlanta, so you can catch Phil there. It's really a fun evening, and again, selling out. I don't know about next week because next Sunday is the show. So if I'm able to, I will pop on quickly, but I will keep you guys posted and post more pictures. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for all of your questions. Thank you. Don't forget to share any photos or mentions on Facebook, etc., because the more followers we have, the better it is. And look for the quote mug update layout. And again, we have too many good quotes, so we're going to have to come out with a couple of mugs, and maybe each character has a mug. We'll see. But for now, the great mug quote. Look at that. Any final suggestions before we go to press, as we say? All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. I will see you next week.